6:33 morning to you. Let's have a look at some of the front pages and other stories making headlines today. And we've got fabulous showbiz reporter Stephanie Tetschi. And we have the one and only Susan Holder, which is it's good to see. I was very annoyed that when you brought Noddy in the other week, I wasn't in.
Well,
but I was.
That.
You
yes.
were.
Oh, you missed a treat.
We had a great time.
I know.
The only thing is, you would have been the odd one out because it was like a Midlands posse.
It was a Midlands massive.
Oh.
Yeah, we were all Midlands. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had to have subtitles at one point.
Well, yeah, I can imagine.
There was a lot of bab going on in the conversation.
You're right, Bub.
Yeah. I've never used that. See, I grew up with a mum who was Welsh, correcting my Midlands pronunciation.
Oh, really?
So, which helped me then when I moved into news and had to kind of in other areas, and you're not meant to have too strong an accent in those days anyway.
Yeah.
But then I went and moved in with Noddy Holder, which kind of all that does is accentuate your Midlands.
Well, it would do. It would
Midlands
do.
accent.
Does he always say to you, "Turn a bit"?
No, he doesn't. No, not really. No, he's not quite as kind of caricature as people would. Would like to imagine.
You know he's watching and you know you're in trouble. So be very, very careful. Morning,
I'm just trying not to dig myself a hole, but I always do. So.
Anyway, let's whiz, before we have a proper chat, let's have a whiz through the front pages for you. The Mail has pressure on the Metropolitan Police to quiz Prince Andrew over new court papers, claiming he had knowledge of the Jeffrey Epstein sex trafficking ring.
The I newspaper leads with rats infesting towns across the UK after bin collections were delayed by up to 3 weeks.
Top Green Tory quits over net zero row. That's Chris Skidmore. It's on the front page of The Telegraph.
And The Mirror focuses on TV presenter Kate Garraway's tribute to the awful passing of her husband Derek Draper, who's died after a long battle with COVID.
The Post Office under criminal investigation over the wrongful prosecution of hundreds of sub-postmasters. That's on the front of the Times. So let's go through some of those with Stephanie and Susan. Stephanie, let's start with Kate Garraway, should we?
It
was
was
a lot of the papers this morning.
As to be expected. I feel like the public has been on this journey with Kate Garraway because she's been so open about her battle with Derek as he suffered from long COVID over the past 4 years. And, you know, she made 2 documentaries and wrote a book where we really got that insight to how it really is to live with someone who had long COVID. And I think everyone, like Kate, kind of had this optimistic disposition that he was going to be OK. And sadly, that this wasn't the case, as she put on social media yesterday, that he died earlier this week on Wednesday. She said that she was holding his hand during those long last hours, and I can't imagine the heartbreak she must be feeling. And it's just, it goes to show that long COVID is still about and it's still wrecking people's lives. I think people think, oh, the pandemic's over, but I've met a lot of people who are still suffering from long COVID, and it's just really heartbreaking. But as you can imagine, for Derek Draper, he's had lots of tributes come from both the political world, from people such as Sir Tony Blair, and also the entertainment world with Elton John. So my heart really does go out to Kate Garraway and her 2 children. It's a sad way to start the year, and she's just shown so much bravery and integrity throughout this.
She was so transparent about what Derek was going through, what the family was enduring. And I worked with Kate. She's a former colleague of mine. I worked with her for a number of years, and she was so strong, so resilient, and she would... We all know how gruelling these early morning shifts can be, but she would turn up at 3 o'clock in the morning to work.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
And she'd been caring
to go to
for
work
Derek.
at all.
I don't think she'd had any sleep, and she would, you know, put her face on and she would do the job.
To go to work at all when you're going through something like that, I think it's, you know, she has to be completely commended. But to sit on television and, you know, there's no amount of makeup that can help you.
No.
You know, when you're feeling like that, I don't know how she managed to kind of put that face on and go on and be coherent in any way. But the light that she has shone on the plight of carers, I think, is going to be her legacy and possibly Derek's as well by default, because she really has had to go through it. And some of the things that I remember her talking about, and like you say, the documentary, which won, you know, she's won national television awards and things for that, quite rightly. But some of the things she had to go through, even though it was so public, even though everyone could see what was going on, like a lot of things we know that go on in the world, she still had to fight for every single thing that was necessary, for the support that she needed. She was in financial difficulty because of things that were going on, because of having to close down his business. All those things that people don't think about. And it's just the worst way to lose your partner, to see the decline that he's had to go through.
And we can see that picture there. That's when they got back, when Kate got back from doing I'm a Celebrity. Now, that was December 2019.
Scary.
Derek suffered COVID March 2020, so just several months before. And you could see they were on top of the world in that picture.
COVID had left his body very early on. By the time he'd come out of the coma, it was the damage that had been done. And I think I've read today that he's only one of 5 people in the world who have suffered as badly. It is just terrible. And it's a testament to her and the care he's received that he got this far, really. He was only 56.
57, that's the thing. It's no age at all.
And, of course, his children as well, 17 and 14.
Let's have a look at the eye, should we, Susan? This one, which fills us all with horror. Rats are infesting UK towns and cities. Hopefully not anywhere near Holder Towers.
Well, I mean, they can get everywhere, can't they? But, I mean, some of the places that are mentioned are Nottingham, Merseyside, Glasgow and Wiltshire specifically. And the particular problem is down to the fact that bins are not being collected routinely or on time. And people in certain places, particularly Nottingham, have had to play that very un-Christmassy game of bin roulette, which is where you put your bin out and you don't know whether they're coming, and then they don't come, and then you have to try and guess which day they are coming, and what a nightmare that is.
Because do you have all the different coloured bins? And I always have to look at what the neighbours are doing, because I never remember.
I know, but do you have one neighbour who just puts a random bin out and then we all follow, and then it's I'm sure
usually
people do
me who does
that.
I have some neighbours who put all the bins out every week.
Time, just in hope.
And it's just like, it's not Blue Week.
No.
It's not a Blue Week. I feel like banging on the door.
I mean, you're lucky if you've got room for your bins as well. I mean, I just think we've got so many bins now and so many houses, particularly in cities. Where are you meant to keep all those bins? And they're all kept like under your front window, which if they're not collected regularly, or if when we get hot weather, that's not hygienic, is it? I mean, again, it is just a complete shock to me. And the reason they're saying is, cash-strapped councils.
So it's not because of Christmas and New Year?
Well, some of it is Christmas and New Year, and then, of course, some of it is bad weather, and some of it is staff shortages. But whatever the reasons are, please, could we not just collect the bins? I mean, it's minimum kind of effort, isn't it, or minimum requirement of what we need in a civilised society is the rubbish to be taken away. You don't have that. When you go somewhere like... I'm on holiday in Portugal, I always think it's so amazing. They collect rubbish every day there because it's a hot country and they will not allow it to kind of... They can do it there. Why can't we do it here?
But do we want a system like in Spain, where you have to take your rubbish yourself to little collection points?
But if you have very local collection points, like I mean, again, they do that in Europe quite a lot. Recycling points at the end of lots of different streets. That's not a bad system if people can be bothered to take. It would reduce a certain amount. We should have more of those big kind of areas where we can take things. But yeah. So the story here is about councils not collecting and all these problems. Somebody here said they had to store bags of rubbish stuffed with nappies, tissues and cat litter in their kitchen because if you leave it out, foxes get it or it attracts the rats. And this is why the rat population...
Let us know if you're watching or listening this morning. Let us know if you've got rats where you live.
I was
problem with your collection.
About the paper the other day because we had one of these aristocrats who sent us a picture of he was about to throw something in the bin in Kensington and he opened it and there was a big rat that was waiting there. And
in the bin?
In the bin. I don't know, but clearly because we're not getting rid of our rubbish. And
I read a piece yesterday by Caitlin Moran, and she said she's had rats and they couldn't work out how they were getting into her house, and she'd just kind of left a door open and a loaf of bread on the side, and rats. Anyway, she put cameras in her house and found they were coming in through the chimney, and they were just having a party at night in her house. And I mean, just dreadful.
It's not a nice thought.
We're probably putting people off their breakfast.
Yes, yeah. Don't think about it. Don't think about it. Stephanie, let's have a look at the Mail and this. I mean, pressure on on Scotland Yard, it claims, to talk to Prince Andrew about all this latest stuff that's come out.
It hasn't been a good start for the year for Prince Andrew because there is a mounting pressure on Scotland Yard to investigate any new sexual assault claims against Prince Andrew. Obviously, we've had these new court documents that have come out this week, and there's more claims of damaging sexual abuse, not indirectly to Prince Andrew.
No, and this is where I wonder if it all gets a bit... I mean, look, I have to say I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
However, the latest claims that have come out overnight saying, oh, well, he used to have a daily massage.
Yeah.
Well, there may be implications from that, but if it is just, well, he had a massage every day, well, so what?
I guess there has to be a balance of if there is kind of credible accusations that are coming out. I think people want to know that they will be investigated and not just be thrown to the side. I think sometimes you wish that Prince Andrew did have his day in court with Virginia Giuffre because he felt by paying her off, that would be the end of it. And clearly, this case is not going to go to bed anytime soon. He is a part of the royal family. So it's not someone that we can just easily dismiss. And, you know, I've seen it time and time again with these kind of Me Too cases, these sexual assault cases. Once you light a match, there's going to be more stories that are going to come out. It's not just going to go to bed. And we can't, at the same time, if young girls have been sexually abused by a royal, why are we dismissing that?
We must say Prince Andrew has always denied any wrongdoing. We should make that clear. But there were names, there was other names that have come up on there in these latest tranche of documents. But there's no implication as such of wrongdoing. So Bill Clinton.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
He says as soon as he knew what Epstein was about, he completely cut off their friendship and he only thought he was doing good philanthropic work.
Well, this is the problem with the kind of the way media can report this, which everyone goes looking over there and they forget to look in the most important place. So they're all looking at the names that they've heard of.
Yeah.
And what we should be thinking about are the people who were responsible for the sex trafficking and not the men who were gullible and stupid enough to kind of be involved in the sexual activity, maybe, that they were in. Because at the end of the day, that's the hardest thing to kind of prove. It's a he said, she said situation. I do think Andrew has not covered himself in glory in any way. And certainly, I mean, you say about he should have had his day in court. He thought the interview that he did was going to help him. And, of course, it only made it worse because it just didn't look like he'd taken it seriously or taken the responsibility for something and put his side of the case in any way that made us think, OK, well, that's a reasonable point of view. He wasn't reasonable in that way. So I think he should... And the way that the royal family have handled it by taking all the things that they can take away from him, apart from obviously Royal Lodge, which they're trying to do, and I think the only reason he's still in Royal Lodge is because Sarah Ferguson has been going through breast cancer, and I think that Charles didn't want to kind of like hammer that point while she was going through that. But I think he will. I think he will be moved out of there. I think we won't see him doing any kind of public.
No. Well, I mean, heck.
But he is still a member of the family, and they will still look after him, and that's fair enough.
That's fair enough. But can you? I mean, I know he wants to get back on the royal roller coaster, as it were.
Well, he shouldn't want to do that.
He shouldn't want to do that, but can you imagine...
He shouldn't want the trappings. He should want to do the work, which is what he should always have done. He should want to do charity work. He should want to use the experience.
But even with that, can you imagine the reception he would get anywhere?
And I don't know what charity would want to do, but there's always a way. He's got 2 daughters out there who do quite a lot of work.
How did you find it when you saw him at Sandringham at Christmas and he was sort of talking to well-wishers? Do you think that was appropriate?
It gives me the ick. I just think, you know, it's hard. There's not been enough time to kind of distance Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein and this big scandal, and I just don't think he can sweep it underneath the carpet and act like nothing's happened. I do think he should fade away a little bit.
Walking on Christmas morning with your family, it's one thing, but I don't understand why, as a public figure, with all the experience he's had and all the people, the examples he's got around him of Charles and Anne and people who do amazing work for the royal family. I'm very much a royalist, and so I can't understand why he doesn't get that this isn't the way to behave.
But do you know what? You only have to look at the interview, don't you?
Yeah,
and then to know that afterwards he was taking Emily Maitlis round, going and thinking he'd done a really
Thought
good
he'd
job.
done a good job, yeah, amazing.
But maybe this is the actions of an innocent man. You know, if someone is innocent, they feel like, then why should I have to hide? Why should my life be destroyed by this?
Yeah,
and maybe that's why he's persistent, that he wants to get back into royal life,
Yeah,
and he's got nothing to hide. So we do need to give him that room of, you know,
That's
maybe
true.
this
That,
is
you're
why
right.
he
No,
still
you're
wants
right.
to be there. I do feel sorry for the celebrities who have been named this week, because it's very much one of those things, guilty by association. You know?
Yeah.
And we don't really know the true story of what's happened in their real relationships with Jeffrey Epstein.
And I think that is the key thing about...
He was a tarantula, wasn't he? I mean, his tentacles stretched. I mean, Stephen Hawking was named. The documents, he visited his island.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
So many.
some very salacious comments about Stephen
Rich
Hawking.
and famous.
Yeah, well, yes. Yeah, it's not one I would want, I tell you.
Gosh,
no. Can you imagine?
Boy,
let's have a look at The Independent, Susan, and thrill seekers who didn't get the experience they wanted.
This is a clip that is being shown on the internet of some poor people who were on a roller coaster on Australia's Gold Coast, which came to a halt at a rather horrifying angle. Apparently, it was caused by a trailing scarf. So actually, and somebody's scarf got caught in the mechanism, and that's what caused this particular problem. I do remember there was a case a few years ago of some poor lady whose scarf got caught, and she died as a result of. I mean, you have got to be so careful on those things. Are you a roller coaster?
No,
I am. I have to admit.
Do you like them?
I absolutely love anything like that. I'm a total daredevil, but I would not relish.
I took my son to Disneyland when he was 17, and there's a really enormous one in Florida. I remember we just both sort of looked at it, and I went, do you want to go on there? And he went, do you want to go on there? And we both went, no, we don't really want to go on there. So we avoided that one, but we did go on a few of the little ones. And I remember going on one and seeing a flip-flop kind of it down in the mechanism and thinking, oh, somebody must have gone on in flip-flops and lost one in the... I don't really see the major attraction.
That would be my idea of how roller coasters, like, I try to be quite adventurous on them, but I just think when I'm on them, there's always that fear in my head that this is going to go wrong. And then when I see clips like that, I'm like, this is why I don't go.
I'll tell you what, because they had another incident at that thing in Hyde Park, didn't they, what to call it, Winter Wonderland.
Yeah.
Because they have these... I don't know if it was this that went wrong, but they have these great big ball things on almost like elastic bands, and they stretch it and then just let you go.
No.
Oh, I've done that. I did that.
I mean,
That's how she got to work this morning.
Yeah, I did it when I was working in regional television. I did it during a live broadcast.
I mean, I wouldn't do it for all the tea in China.
Into the air, and actually, you could still hear me. My mic was still, but all you could hear was me
Screaming.
Yeah,
I have
but it was
jumped out of
great
the plane, but I was strapped to somebody who knew what they were doing, and I did a tandem skydive.
I did that
and
as
I mean,
well.
and that is a kind of,
It's amazing.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, I did it once for charity. It's not something I'd do every weekend, because I thought, well, I've done it once. If I get married, done it once, it worked, let's leave it there. But the whole roller coaster thing, I remember my husband said when he was very young, he saw one of those travelling fair things, and those kind of swings that spin around and go horizontal. Yeah. He saw one where one came off and the people flew.
No.
This was many years ago. And he would never go on anything mechanical. He just doesn't trust it at all. I think once you've ever seen anything, if you were in that park and you saw that, would you ever get on a roller coaster again?
No.
I don't think you would.
No.
It's just some things are just not worth the risk.
No.
I think it gets worse the older you get. You're just like, youngsters are quite daredevil when it comes to these things, but I can't do it.
No, I couldn't do it.
I love my life too much.
Let's stick with, and you'll both have a view on this, I'm sure, this Hollywood auction. Because Marilyn Monroe, Hugh Hefner, stuff of theirs being sold. I can imagine you, Stephanie, wanting to buy some Marilyn stuff.
I definitely do want to invest in Marilyn stuff. I actually attended the 50th anniversary of her death. They done like a memorial service for her in LA, and it was so fabulous. I love Marilyn, and I think it's so good to collect things like.
Well, you might be lucky because there's a lipstick on because I mean I'm not saying I don't know what your budget is, Steph, but the dress there's a couple of dresses that are expected to raise at least 80,000.
There's the lipstick.
There's the lipstick. Yeah.
Used.
I would presume so. That's Hugh
That would look
Hefner's
lovely on you, Stephen.
one of his smoking jackets, and that dress there is expected to fetch 79,000 to 160,000 pounds. Is that all?
I thought it would be
Should we
more
all
than
chip
that.
in?
Yeah.
We could wear it on rotation. but the lipstick might be something that you could kind of. But it would be. I'm an Elvis fan, and when you see Elvis auction items, I'm always very tempted to I kind of leave the details. Now, for Christmas, I would like, but no, my husband never kind of takes me up on that, unfortunately.
No.
I never get something that Elvis wants.
No. I think that lipstick might be quite expensive. Because if she's used it, then there's potentially sort of Marilyn DNA on it.
Would it still be all there? I mean, would it not have disintegrated a bit?
Well, it looks like it.
But apparently it's Elizabeth Arden, and we could probably look it up. Yeah, it's an Elizabeth Arden lipstick. I'm just thinking. So we could in a gold tone case.
Yeah, the case does look quite delicate.
But you can't buy it. It's a custom shade.
Orange like mist.
It's a very strange colour, actually.
And where did they get this from? I'm always like, when it comes to auctions, I'm always like, where did they?
You want the provenance, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's that just sort of have a good rifle through the house after they've passed and pick up someone's grabbed a lipstick.
Well, these are all kind of held by the. It's obviously linked by Playboy, Hugh Hefner and Marilyn Monroe. A link. That's where the auctions kind of come about. So it's artefacts from the Playboy archives.
Right.
Has Noddy ever auctioned any of his outfits over the years?
Given it to charity more often. So that we don't have wardrobes full of kind of 70s gear at home.
Yeah, but has he still got the hat with the mirrors on?
Yes, of course he has. But
has he?
Is it in a glass case?
It's not. It's actually in a vault.
Is it?
Yeah, kept safe. He lent it out once to some sort of exhibition, and it came back damaged. So he would never do that again. So he says. But I mean, I do think it probably should be at some point in some sort of kind of music exhibition because it is quite iconic. But at the moment, it is kept under lock and key safely, and not in our house.
I wouldn't trust you to dust it. I wouldn't trust you to dust it.
No, and also you're not allowed. No, I'm not allowed to touch guitars either. Apparently.
Oh, really?
No, you don't touch guitars.
How many guitars has he got?
He wouldn't be able to tell you, and neither would I.
What, so many?
No, he wouldn't know.
Wow.
But again, they're kept in storage and everything. But again, guitars and musicians, it's a strange thing. We once went to Paris and we went in this little guitar shop and there were all these amazing guitars on the wall and I always had to lead him out sobbing because he was like, I used to have one like that. And of course, as you're a musician, you kind of developing and growing, you have to trade your guitar in for the better one and the better one. So all these amazing guitars that he now realises how much they'd be worth, he doesn't have every single one he ever had, but now he's able to collect ones he does want.
I had that with I know Brian May, not brilliantly well, but enough to have a good old chinwag with him. And his man Phil, who sadly passed away last year, I was hanging about with him one day, and Phil just went, "Oh, just hold this for a minute while I go at the bar." I said, "Yeah, what is it?" And it was Brian's guitar, the one he built.
The one he built from a fireplace.
Yeah, and a knitting needle and all the rest of it. And it was like
it's a guitar.
And it was just like. It's worth millions.
Absolutely.
Just hold this while I go at the bar.
Did you have a strum?
Oh no, it was in a bag.
Oh.
It was in the bag because I was like, yeah, what is it?
Yeah.
And it was the red, whatever it's called, I can't remember now. But it was just like,
yeah, no,
terrifying.
Guitars are very special, obviously, to musicians. But yeah, and apparently you can never have too many. Unlike shoes, apparently you can never have too many guitars.
I don't agree with that.
On that delightful note, we're out of time. Thank you both. We'll see you a little bit later on. Let's get the check on the weather for you with Alex.